and I am going to be working with one of the newest beads today, the Checkmate Diamond, to make the Starry Night Earrings. So the earrings, they can be made into a pendant or into the earrings like I'm doing. You can also link them together and make a component for an actual necklace or so. So don't limit yourself to just the earring idea. Take it and kind of go with it. So if you do want to make these Starry Night earrings, below the video there's a date stamp that says when the video was published, and below that in that same box is a little button usually that says show more with a down arrow. I'll put links in there to buy the products online if you would like to receive any of the products in order to make these earrings. So the earrings themselves are done with the diamonds. So the Checkmate Diamond is their newest bead. It's a 2-hole diamond bead that is 4 by 6 millimeter. Each earring is going to use 5 of the Checkmate diamonds, so you're going to need 10 total. These are the jade or the green turquoise color, and then in my example I did use the jet purple AB color, or the purple iris rather, sorry. The other thing that you're going to be using are some chatons. The chatons sit in the front of the earrings. That being said, if you don't have the chatons, you don't necessarily need the chatons. You can actually build this design without them. They just don't look as blingy. For the chatons, you are going to use 2 because obviously you're making a set of earrings. If you're doing a necklace, the chatons actually come in packs of 12, and 12 would be a nice number to kind of get you around the front of that necklace. I'm using the SS39, which is approximately an 8.3 millimeter, and I have the Peridot AB color, which actually leaves itself a little bit of that greenish blue mix with that AB, so it's going to go well with the jade color. So 2 of those will do. In addition to the 2 kind of specialty beads, I also have 15s, 11s, and 8 seed beads. The 15s that I have are the Duracoat Galvanized Silver in the 15. I have the 11-0 in the Aztec Gold color, and then I have the 8-0 in the Crystal Labrador Fool, which is the first 2 are the Miyuki brand, and then this one is the Matubo brand of the 8-0. I also have sitting here, I want a little bit more bling on the outside, so I have 2 millimeter fire polished rounds also sitting here in that aqua celsian color that you can use. And I'm going to be using those on the point, so 10 of those as well. Because I am using this component as earrings, I have a set of ear wires that will work, and then if you want, you can use 2 jump rings, or you can make a loop of seed beads at the top of the earring. For the project itself, because of the color variation, I'm going to be using the gray wildfire beading thread, and I have a size 12 needle here ready to go to thread on the actual central design and then add in the chaton on top. So to get started, you need that size 12 needle with about 4 feet of beading thread on the needle. We'll get ready to make our first component by getting out our 5 diamond checkmates and then little piles of your seed beads. So to get started, the first thing I'm doing is putting a stop bead on the end of my thread. This bead is a bead that is not used in the project and will eventually come off the end of the project. That's why I like to use a bead that I know is different from the ones that I'm actually creating with. So I have the thread going through that bead about 2 inches from the end, and then went back through the bead again, which is going to expose some thread on the side and make it easier to take off. We're going to be adding a collection of 5 of our Checkmate diamonds with a 8 seed bead in between each. So the pattern is going to be diamond, 8, diamond, 8, whole way around until you get to 5 of those. One thing, I am using these Checkmate diamonds, but you could also use a couple other 2-hole beads in place of this. You could use a 2-hole bar in place of it. You could also use a quarter tila too, just kind of thinking about the design. You could use a quarter tila or a 2-hole bar. They should not affect the actual shape that you're creating. It is going to affect the look of it though, and you're not going to get as much of that starburst look. So once you have on 5 of your 2-hole diamonds there, you're going to put on, or let them rest down at the bottom of the thread near that stop bead. The first thing we need to do is actually get them into that rounded shape. To do so, go back through that central row of all of the beads. So we're going back through that same hole in all of the beads, starting at the stop bead and going then towards the end. Pulling that thread through, that is going to bring it into a circle. Again, eventually that stop bead will come off, but you want to make sure that the thread end does not get mixed up in the stop bead, which is going to make it difficult to take off. From here, then, we are going to step up to the outer row or the second hole of the checkmate diamond. To do so, I'm going to go through the diamond that is right next to that stop bead and come out after going through that first hole. From there, I'm going to step up from the first hole to the second hole. It's going to expose a little bit of that gray thread on the side of the jade duo, the diamond. You're really not going to see it once you get going. From here, we're going to add in an 11 next to the diamond and then a 15 connecting then to the 8. So you're going to pick up your 11 and a 15, sew through the 8/0 seed bead. When I sew through the 8/0 seed bead also, I want to make sure that I'm sewing above the original thread. Add the 15 when coming out of the 8 and followed by the 11 and into the next hole of the next diamond. Again, get that starter thread just kind of out of there. Continuing around in the loop. Where you're coming out the diamond, add the 11 first. When you're coming out the 8, add the 15 first. So I'm going the whole way around the circle, adding this in, which is going to get my initial kind of V shape between the diamonds. The matubos themselves are a tiny bit larger, just so you know, than the Miyuki 8s that I used on the example. It won't be significant enough though that it will really affect the design. So I always give you different materials that you need. Keep in mind a lot of times, and I want to do a Facebook Live on this, a lot of times you can use substitute materials. People ask me that a lot on the different videos. It's always worth a try. I may not know the answer right away if one thing will work exactly as the other, but it's always worth a try because you learn something every time you try to do something new. So again, I'm going around and I'm at the final place here, adding in the last of those seed beads on the second hole. So that brings us around to the start, and you can see I have that nice star shape. Pull the stop bead kind of to the back of the project, so that way it's not affecting the tension at all. From here, we get to go around now and add our second row of our seed beads that sit to create the peak. Again, I picked up some 2mm fire polished rounds in order to add them at the peak where I did have the 11/0 seed bead on the sample. I'm going to be adding in the actual crystal there, or the Czech glass there. So coming out our first diamond duo, I'm going to go through the 11/0. So that's that Aztec Gold 11. Come through there. I'm going to add an 8, my crystal there, my Czech glass, and another 8. Continue then through the 11, through that checkmate diamond, and through the next 11 in the row there. You can see that kind of pushes it out to the side. Again, around, adding in the 8, crystal 8, and then through the next grouping. So because this is an earring, I'm going to be doing this identical on all sides and doing this 5 times. If you want to and you want to use it as a connector, you can also switch up the order and do an 11 here along with an 8 in the middle and a 15 on the sides. That way you could have an 8/0 seed bead that you can connect with. So going through here around the circle, adding in the last of our 8s on this particular earring along with the crystals. When I come through then, I'm going to go through that first Aztec Gold 11 that we went through, that diamond, and the second 11. And that's going to get us that original kind of star shape. This is where I was saying if you don't want to put in the actual crystal in the middle, this is where you would stop and just put a jump ring and then attach it to the ear wire, going back and kind of sewing back just to knot off the thread towards the middle of the design. Instead, again, what we're going to do is we're going to have fun and drop a crystal right into the middle of that earring. To do so, we need to create a netting for it to sit on, which is going to consist of 15 seed beads. Taking the thread and needle, I'm going to sew down towards the center row of the original thread line. So I'm sewing in towards that first hole of the diamond and the 8s. Coming out the Aztec gold bead, I'm going to go through the 15 and through the 8, through the diamond, and come on out. What I'm going to do now is create peaks around the diamond by sewing into that 8-0. So we're going to sew into the next 8-0, and our number is going to be 5. We're going to use 5 15s. Sew over the diamond and into the next 8. That's going to put those 5 15s right on top of the diamond. We'll then pull it in towards the middle as we get ready to add the chaton in the middle. So again, we're going to do 5 groups of 5 because we're doing that star symmetry. In go 5 through the next checkmate and on. So continuing on, 5 go on through the next 8 and around. Again, if that tail gets involved, just kind of pull it out of the way and go the whole way around. These earrings, as you can see, are really quick to make, which is awesome, especially if you want to do it as a necklace component, which I think would be really pretty, building them in and then connecting them together. So the next 5 go on. I'm going to go through that first 8 that my thread was coming out of. And then to get the simple netting, I'm going to go up through the first 3 15s that we put on the project. So each group of 15 sits in a group of 5. We're always going to be sewing through the 3rd bead, which is going to create a peak and almost a triangle effect. I give a nice tight tug, and then I'm going to add 3 more 15s, jump over to the next grouping of 15s, and pick up that 3rd bead. Again, 3 more, pick up that 3rd bead, and sew around. I'm going to do 1 more, and then what I'll get ready to do is drop in my crystal before I get too far. That little setting in the middle is a perfect place to drop in your chaton. Give a tight little pull there. Add 3 more of your 15s. Pick up the second to last grouping of 5 in that middle 3rd bead. 3 more beads get added. Spin over to that starter bead there that our thread was coming out of and sew through that one. Giving a nice tight pull, then we get that fun kind of crystal effect and that diamond-y shape. You can see the chatons in place there. And what I always like to do is sew through that middle row that you just added all together, just picking up the 3 seed beads, which is going to pull them a little bit tighter in towards one another. So skipping that bead right above the diamond, pull in, just going through those seed beads. So I'm going to go through those 5 groups of 3, and once you're done with those 15 beads, give a nice tight pull, and that will pull the crystal and that thread in tighter. Now all we have to do is make the second one and attach them to the ear wires. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. There's a loop that's already established, and with these earrings in particular, I can just slide them on, pull down, and they'll kind of sit off to the side of those earrings. If you want to, you can also use jump rings connecting those, or you can make a loop out of seed beads to connect to the ear wire. It's up to you how you want to do it and how you want to actually have the earrings worn. But to get the threads back close to one another, you're going to kind of flip over, see where that stop bead is, and bring the thread back towards the center of that stop bead. So I'm going to bring my thread back, going around that middle again, till I'm right at the point where I'm at that stop bead. From there then, I'm going to take the thread and needle down through one of those third beads near the diamond, down through the beads along the side then, so that would be beads 3 and 4, or I'm sorry, 4 and 5, and then down through the 8-0 below it. Bringing towards the back then, I'm going to sew through that next diamond till my thread meets right where that starter thread is. Once you get the thread off, or that starter bead off them, by pulling it off, usually you can kind of put your needle in and just pull it off. Take your thread ends here, tie the two together, and then add your jump rings or put your earring directly onto your ear wire. Like I said, if you do want to make these as components, they would look great as components for a necklace. And where I would suggest adding them together after you're done here is adding them together on all of the peaks. So taking the place here where we have that 2mm fire polished round and adding them on the peaks together in that fun form of a necklace. So again, you're just going to repeat however many you want to do. If you want to do one more for a pair of earrings, or if you want to link them all together there to get your necklace and collar established.